You're talking about these squatters. I mean, Debbie sarcastically goes, well, Dinesh, of course we have a squatter problem in the United States. We have a squatter in the White House. I mean, brilliant observation. Yes, we have an unauthorized occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And as I thought about that, it also occurred to me that, you know what? Our elite in this country, all these people who supposedly are in charge of institutions that claim to represent people and speak for people, they're squatters. And by squatters, I mean that nobody appointed them. Nobody asked that, you get to speak for women. You get to speak for blacks. You get to speak for working people. Nobody appointed them. Nobody elected them. And yet they arrogate to themselves the prerogative of representing and speaking for these groups. So they're squatters in a metaphorical sense, in that they are claiming to occupy territory that they're not entitled to, that they're unauthorized. So in some ways, I can see why these, you may say, usurping elites are sympathetic to people who usurp other people's homes. So I took a look. I went to the American Apartment Owners Association, and this is a very good compendium of laws on squatting. And it turns out that there's a whole bunch of states that allow squatting, about 10. So about 40 states don't allow it at all, but about 10 states allow it. And it turns out that the process when you look at the laws, you begin to see how we even got these laws. Most of these laws require a pretty lengthy period of occupancy for you to have, quote, squatters' rights. So it varies somewhat, but it varies between 7 years and 30 years. So some states, let's look at some examples. Ohio requires a 21-year occupancy period. Illinois, 20 years of residency. And by the way, in Illinois law, it has to be a, quote, abandoned property. So you can move into an abandoned property, but you don't own it, so to speak. You don't have squatters' rights until you've lived there for 20 years. And also they say, quote, you have to either live in or work the land. Georgia, 20 years, North Carolina, 20, Massachusetts, 20, but then California, 5 to 7 years. Washington State, currently 7 years, although they may change it to 18 years.